Hi there. This is Reverend Dr. Chrys Parker and Dr. Harry Croft, MD, with another mini video for you about PTSD. The holidays are going to be fast upon us, and this is a time of year that can be great for some and really miserable for others. You know, a lot of people wonder why they feel so awful during the holidays. A lot of my patients will ask me, you know, why does just this feel like it just sucks and everybody else loves it? There must be something wrong with me. Harry and I both know that isn't true, right?
No.
Actually, one of the things that we want to do, and we're going to take a little bit of a different take on this subject than you may have heard before, is we want to explain to you why the sucky feeling you have during the holidays is actually reflective of real symptoms, some of them biological, some of them psychological, but in any case, they're real. They're not imaginary, and you don't have them just because you're antisocial. This has been going on since time immemorial, folks, so we want you to know that there's not a whole lot new under the sun about this. I like to remind people that in World War II, we got the phrase snafu, which stands for situation normal, all effed up. So if things seem a little effed up in your life during the holidays, that's probably pretty normal too. Given the fact that the holidays are not a normal time in society, our habits are altered, our spending habits are altered, our eating patterns are altered, everything is altered. Why would we necessarily feel normal? So we're going to talk for a few minutes about some of the 5 F's of what gets life fouled up during the holidays. And Harry, is it okay if I start?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to start first of all with food, since that's something that a lot of us associate with the holidays. Some of you may associate the holidays with good memories of food, for example, the kind of food your mom used to cook or foods that really were special to you, and that may be a good thing. But there are a lot of things about food that surprisingly can play into the bad side of PTSD. If you will go onto our website, www.mybacktotheworld.com, you're going to learn that there are 2 very distinct profiles of PTSD, one of which is very adrenally active, you know, really energized, high energy. The other one is very low activity. Your metabolism slows way down, which makes you feel tired, may be mistaken for depression, and really may make you feel very lethargic and not good at all. That is indicative of the person whose pattern of PTSD is the hypo-aroused profile. These people crave carbohydrates. Well, what do we eat during the holidays? They crave carbs, fat, and by the way, salt that helps them retain water. Why is that? Because their body is driven to retreat and store supplies for a future day. It's like waiting for the cavalry to come. So when you're pigging out at the dinner table on stuffing, cranberry relish, and Christmas cookies, you're also feeding your post-traumatic stress reaction if you're one of these people. So be aware that food can make you feel even worse than normal if you don't want to watch what you eat. And on our website, we're going to have some really concrete suggestions for how you can deal with that. Harry, what's next?
So the second F is family.
Yeah.
You know, we can choose our friends, not necessarily our family.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, the holidays are family times when the family is supposed to get together and feel all loving and warm and positive towards each other. For some families, that's not the way it was even before PTSD entered the scene. And during this family time, it's often very difficult for the person with PTSD because they feel entrapped. I mean, here are people, especially Uncle so-and-so and Aunt so-and-so, who you didn't like very much before, and who asked too many questions that you don't want to answer. And when people feel wounded, it's very difficult to get that loving, warm family feeling, and people become distant from the family. And I hear it all the time from the veterans' families I see. You know, it's easier for them to pick a fight so they can go to their room and be out of the family situation than be with the family.
Absolutely.
So on the website we talk about some ways of dealing with family issues, a big problem during the holidays at a time when everybody else is supposed to be close and warm, and what that also creates, Chrys, is a feeling of guilt.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else is just hugging each other,
right. So
and
what's wrong
I
with
feel
me?
off to the side.
Exactly.
And that's part of PTSD as well.
And you feel excluded, and that's really important. The next F that we want to talk about is frenzy, and this is really important because, you know, one of the things that every TV commercial will tell you is, oh, this is so great, it's the holiday season, everything is so exciting, right? Well, let me tell you how your brain is reacting to all that excitement. This will make sense to those of you who've been downrange. As many of you who've been to our website know, I did a short tour downrange at the invitation of the Central Command, and one of the first things I noticed about Victory Base in Iraq was eye in the sky, right? Any of you that have been deployed know what the eye in the sky is. And it's that dirigible that hovers over military installations that sees everything that's going on below in order to monitor. It's constantly scanning everything for any sign of danger so that there can be an appropriate response. Well, guess what? Your brain is exactly like the eye in the sky, only it's in your head. There is a lobe in the deep middle portion of your brain, in the midbrain, that has the responsibility of monitoring every bit of incoming intel that your brain receives. During the holiday, the amount of incoming intel probably, I don't know, doubles, triples, because there is so much going on. Hugely increased levels of activity, hugely increased levels of sights and sounds and smells. Oh my gosh, just think about going to the mall. Think about what you hear. Everything from the clanking of those wonderful, you know, Santas, and they're there for a great cause, but the Santa Clauses wanting your money, to the noxious smells when you've got 57 kinds of candles, you know, burning in the candle shop, to the food, to the people,
to kids running around and screaming in joy.
Exactly.
But the screaming and the kids running around may bring back sights and sounds of combat areas.
You know, for people who were in Vietnam, as you've mentioned to me, Harry, that really has to do with a particular kind of trigger you might want to describe in a minute. For the people that I treat who have been in Iraq and Afghanistan, it can be very reminiscent of checkpoints, IED explosions, and other events that happen at checkpoints. So remember that, you know, frenzy may feel great for your kids because it's a great excuse for them to run around uncontrollably, but what your brain is wanting if you have PTSD is control. And you're in uncontrolled circumstances and situations that may make your brain feel intensely uncomfortable. You have anything more you want to say about that?
You know, in Vietnam, I've now, as you know, seen over 7,000 veterans for evaluation, 3,500 from Nam, and many of them told me that during the Christmas season, when they were writing back and forth to home about the wonder and the beauty of the season, there were battles going on, and sometimes whole villages, including children, tragically were destroyed during Vietnam. And so these sounds of the kids running around, as you said, bring back a lot of these thoughts and may cause flashbacks, nightmares, and increasing difficult thoughts about the season. So that's why many of the vets tell us, I hate going to the mall during the holiday, but even something as simple as a little get-together at home can produce enough chaos in the mind of the veteran that it becomes a problem.
In fact, at home it may even be particularly triggering, and I'll tell you why. Because at home you're very security conscious. This is your perimeter. You're going to man it, you're going to protect it. When people are running around in a frenzy at home, that kind of behavior is usually associated with a panic. A fire, an accident, somebody's fallen, somebody's gotten into trouble, you know. And so people usually associate frenzied activity with something negative. And so this is something to keep in mind. It's not something you can control. It's what your brain is reacting to without you having programmed it.
And so the fourth F now is faith. I mean, a major focus of the holiday season is faith and religion and spirituality. And that's also a major problem for many of the veterans we see, the active duty members you see. And it's a source of alienation, not comfort during the during the holidays, because they don't feel the same way that others feel. How can I go to church after what I did and what I saw? How can God love me if there is a God at all? And how can there be a God that let happen the horrible things I saw happening? How can I go to church and sit in those pews next to all those people when I can't sit at the way back to make sure my back is against the wall, nobody is behind me? And during the holidays, you know, the preacher says, let's hug all those people next to you. Oh, wow.
We'll exchange the peace. And then you're getting touched and people are getting into your personal space. You know, I hate to interrupt you, Harry, but since I am a chaplain and I am a clergywoman, I feel particularly strongly about this subject. I really want to assure people that it is normal for people to lose faith, to question their faith, or to become entirely alienated from their faith when they have been traumatized. And one of the unfortunate factors that I, as a clergy person, am aware of is that, you know, I'm a traumatologist. I understand this, and I understand its connection to PTSD. Most clergy people have no training in trauma whatsoever. And so one of the questions, the why questions that you mentioned, there are all these why questions or how questions. The question that I find people asking is, how can my pastor understand how I'm feeling when he's sitting at the pulpit or, you know, at the head of the synagogue saying that God's blessings are upon us when I don't feel blessed at all, when I don't feel within God's circle or within God's family at all. This is very, very important, and it's really something that we want you to know is common. And please go to our website for continually increasing information about the role of faith, because it's my job as a chaplain to help you have information about how to deal with that. So the last thing on our short list is finances. I want to talk about two aspects of finances as they relate to the holidays. First of all, anyone, whether you have PTSD or not, knows that finances represent major stressors as a result of the holidays. Because in addition to all this incoming sensory input and, you know, all of this sensory intelligence that your brain is gathering, you're also experiencing additional stress burdens in the form of finances, because you become overloaded with obligations that are additional to your normal bill cycle. So if you're already strained, and most military families are, well, most everyone is during this recession, this can be very, very stressful. But there's another hidden aspect to this that most people have no clue about. There are some people who, below the level of conscious awareness, are actually enjoying the stress. Now, it's not something that they consciously know about. It's that the brain may really get almost a high out of the buy. And this is something you need to know. There are many people with PTSD who engage in risky behaviors because risk equates to danger to the brain, and when the brain senses that the person is in danger or the body is in danger, there are certain chemicals, primary one being the chemical dopamine, that get elevated in your central nervous system. What dopamine does is it serves as your internal anesthesia. It's way better than booze, because booze is a central nervous system depressant. This is an elevation agent. It makes you feel happier, smoother, faster, above it all, and it chills the pain. And it can become a serious addiction, just as opiate medications can be addictive. This is the internal opiate of your body, and it too has an addictive quality. So this is the season of the compulsive shopper, And we know about that. What we don't ordinarily hear about is the traumatized shopper may also be compulsive because the buy may carry its own thrill because it is risky for them financially. So that's something to really be aware of. Harry, what's next on our agenda?
Well, I think next we will do some other videos in this series talking about more of the F's, but more importantly, talking about what do you actually do about it?
Right.
What can you do? And I think the big what do you do, we believe, is that you need to get help for post-traumatic stress disorder, and there is help available. That's why we did the website, to give people real hope and real advice that will make a difference. So on the website, www.mybacktothewall.com, there's information about getting help. But in the interim, before you get help for the overall condition, we're going to make some suggestions about how to deal with some of these F's and the problems they cause.
Exactly. So while you're writing your Christmas list, be sure to put us on it, and we'll see you next time.